Good evening. I'm Ethan Ferguson here with your sports update. The Longhorns put a Texas-sized beatdown onto the Oklahoma Sooners at the 118th Red River Showdown, winning 49-0. Longhorns quarterback Quinn Ewers threw for 289 yards and 4 touchdowns, while the defense pitched a shutout. Ewers elaborated on what this win means to the Longhorns.
It's a lot of fun playing with these guys.
Looking forward, the Horns travel back to DKR to face the Cyclones of Iowa State, who have beaten the Horns in their last 3 meetings. With the recent win over OU, it would seem important to keep head coach Steve Sarkisian close to home. However, after he listed his over 5,000 square foot home in Rollingwood, UT fans were curious as to the reason behind it. According to his real estate broker, Sarkisian has no plans of leaving Austin. He simply wanted to move his family into a house designed specifically for them. His asking price on the 5-bedroom home is $7.5 million. Continuing with the spirit of football, but not the same type of football, Austin FC is making history this week as they plan to host the first ever Major League Soccer playoff match Sunday night. The team's position in the playoff was unexpected, but a pleasant surprise according to fans. Regardless, the support for this match is unmatched.
Seeing them ramp it up and continuing to win was a really cool feeling because you didn't really expect it this early on. Having them in the playoffs this early is honestly, it's so impressive to see.
Tickets for the game sold out within minutes, but you can watch on ABC or for the Spanish broadcast, tune in to ESPN Deportes. That's because ovarian cancer is the 7th most common cancer and the 5th leading cause of cancer death among women in the United States. Now I know these little guys behind me might look like real flowers, but in reality, these little guys are actually solar-powered fiber optic light pods that combine an intersection between art, technology, and nature. Texas football bounced back with a win this weekend after a 1-point loss to Alabama the week prior, defeating UTSA 40-21. Number 20, Texas Soccer, avoided a loss against UCF, drawing the game 2-2 with a last-minute goal. NFL Week 2 left us with much to discuss and unpack. All this and more coming up on College Press Box. Good evening, and welcome to College Press Box. I'm your host, Ethan Ferguson, and she's Kylie Rodriguez. We've got a great show for you today. We will now take a look at highlights from the Texas UTSA game this past Saturday. UTSA was the first team on the board and held the Horns scoreless throughout the first quarter. At the top of the second, however, it was Roschon Johnson selling out the defense and putting the Horns up 7-3. Not much later in the quarter, Roadrunner running back Brendan Brady scores to put UTSA up 10-7. Taking advantage of their momentum, the Roadrunners call an onside kick and succeed recovering the football. The following possession, a double pass from Frank Harris to Brendan Brady ends in a touchdown to Sahari Franklin. Roadrunners are up 17-7. Wanting to have a trick play of their own, Roschon Johnson hurdles a Roadrunners defender, bringing the Longhorns within scoring range. It's Bijan Robinson who finishes the job. After making a defensive stop, this pass from Hudson Card to Bijan Robinson puts the Horns in Roadrunner territory. As he breaks a tackle, moves forward, and keeps going. Although Texas couldn't put it in the end zone, it's Bert Auburn who kicks it through the uprights to tie the game going into the half. After a stop at the top of the half, Bijan Robinson breaks free for a 78-yard touchdown to put the Horns up in front. 24-17. Trying their best to get back in the game, Harris is picked off by Jahai Barron, who takes it to the house. The Texas defense continued to do their thing, and so did Bijan Robinson, who on this play finds a gap and scores his 3rd touchdown of the night. Robinson would end up with 183 rush yards and 3 touchdowns on the day. Coach Sark told us that he wanted his team not to get fragmented and that he wanted adversity. And as you can see, Texas beat the UTSA Roadrunners 41-20. The Longhorns are now 2-1 on the season, going into Lubbock next weekend to start conference play against the Red Raiders.
This past weekend, our very own Ethan Ferguson covered the game. Here's what he had to say.
Despite losing last week's bout against the Alabama Crimson Tide, the Texas Longhorns were able to bounce back efficiently this week against UTSA, winning tonight's game 41-20. Despite being tied 17-17 at half, the Texas Longhorns came out in the second with a new type of ferocity. Running back Bijan Robinson did his thing, scoring 3 touchdowns. Hudson Card, despite having an injured ankle, was able to produce and be efficient for his team. Defensively, Jahdae Barron had a pick 6 and took it to the house. Coming up next week against Texas Tech, the Longhorns will travel to Lubbock for their first in-conference game. For TSTV Sports, I'm Ethan Ferguson. Thank you for joining us tonight, Robert and Adam. Next, we will have TJ Krylowitz to talk about Texas women's soccer non-conference against UCF and their game plan for Big 12 play starting later this week. All this and more when we return on College Press Box. I'd now like to welcome in our women's soccer analyst, TJ Krylowitz. TJ, thanks for joining us tonight. The Texas women's soccer team end their non-conference schedule with a 2-2 tie to UCF. What went good for the Longhorns in this game?
Well, Texas really showed some fight here versus a very desperate UCF team who has not won in 3 games.
You mentioned her earlier, goalie Savannah Madden. She tied her season high in stops with 6 against UCF. How important is her role on this team moving forward this season?
Well, she's been nothing short of amazing for the team this year.
Well, with the Longhorns starting their Big 12 conference schedule this Thursday at TCU, what teams within the conference do you think are going to give Texas a run for their money this year? I just have one more question for you, TJ. How old are you today?
I'm 19 today.
Me and everyone here at the TSTV crew would like to wish you a happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us, TJ. When we return, we will recap this past weekend in the NFL. You won't want to miss it. Welcome back into College Press Box. We now go to Kylie, who is with NFL analyst Tyler Moss to break down this past weekend in the NFL. For the second time this season, Texas volleyball Zoe Fleck was named Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week. The senior libero leads the #1 Longhorns this season with an outstanding 133 digs. The annual Golden Goggle Awards are back in session, and this year, 3 Longhorns received nominations. Carson Foster earned 4 nominations, one of which includes Breakout Performer of the Year, Drew Kibler for Relay Performance of the Year, and Legend of the Game Eddie Reese for Coach of the Year. Fan voting is now open through Friday, September 30th. That'll wrap things up for this week's episode of College Press Box. Make sure to tune in to our other shows this week, including College Crossfire on Wednesday and Want to Know Sports on Friday. On behalf of all the crew here at TSTV, I'm Ethan Ferguson, she's Kylie Rodriguez. Thank you for joining us, and have a good night. Well, if I had to pick one of these to decide which was better, I would have to go with the Yankees and the Red Sox. You know, that's just an athletic baseball play. His ability to pop back up, you know, that's just impressive. And, you know, nothing against the Rangers. That was a really good shot, and but nope, I'm going to have to give this one to Manny.
All right, I'll take round 1.
Well, you know, I love Mike Evans, and I think Tom Brady is an extremely talented quarterback. But I think the best Week 1 NFL play from these two is going to have to be the Patrick Mahomes shovel pass. Andy Reid and the Chiefs seem to just enjoy doing these kinds of passes, and, you know, Patrick Mahomes is just a talent like we've never seen before.
Yeah.
He can throw the ball any way possible, sidearm, shovel passes, he's got it all. So I'm giving this one to Edley.
Okay.
Yeah, these are 2 very talented sports plays, and, you know, this one's kind of a toss-up for me, but I have to say, I'm excited for Kentucky this year. I think that Kentucky has a lot of potential. You know, this is something that we haven't seen from them in a long time, and that, like Edley said, that was the game changer as that game was progressing. So I'm going to have to give it to Edley. It's now 2-1. We got a close one.
2-1. Yep, we got a close one.
I watched that Bears game. I'm a Bears fan, and that rain was quite the adversity right there. It looked like Soldier Field had turned into a swamp. And, you know, that took some dedication for the Bears to come back and win that game, start the season 1-0. I think that I'm going to give it to Edley. Because that game with the celebration, no one saw it coming. I'm sorry, Manny, you know?
It's a cool picture. I saw the picture. He's flexing. He's sitting there, rain coming down. I'll take it. That's fine.
Well, I love seeing Illinois doing well. But I'm not exactly sure what he was thinking there. That was a little bit confusing to me. But, you know, that Burt Auburn missed kick, that will sting for quite some time.
That one hurt.
And I think that I'm going to give it to Edley.
4-1?
I'm sorry, but, you know, that kick really was the deciding factor for the Alabama-Texas game. And, you know, history could have been made, and just 20 yards away.
Yep.
I am also buying into the fact that the Dallas Cowboys will not win the NFC East. You know, injuries are going to prove to be a deciding factor for the Cowboys this year. You know, last week with Dak injuring his thumb, and even with Michael Gallup set to return, you know, my bet is that the Cowboys offense will continue to struggle without the throwing accuracy and hand of Dak Prescott. And Jalen Hurts, on the other hand, you know, they still have to compete against the Eagles within their conference. He's going to do his thing. Yeah, you know, I feel like this one's kind of a no-brainer. I'm selling this one. I don't think that the Green Bay Packers are going to bounce back. I think week 1 against the Vikings kind of showed us all that we needed to see. That drop in the first quarter from Christian Watson appeared to be kind of a foreshadowing of their season, in my opinion. Their inability to stop Justin Jefferson on defense and constant sacks on Rodgers. You know, the morale of the Packers week 1 was just off.
Low.
Yeah, and you know, Rodgers is clearly struggling in the position that he's in. I think I have the Vikings winning the NFC North, but you know, I'll never lose faith in the Bears. I'm also buying into this. I do think that the Denver Broncos will miss the playoffs. You know, with Russell Wilson being on a different team for the first time in his career, I think it's safe to say that there is some sort of a learning curve kind of going into this season. The final drive against Seattle last week was just, there were some problems there for sure. Settling for a 65-yard field goal, and you know, there was clearly some miscommunication between Wilson and Nathaniel Hackett. You know, I like Brandon McManus, but I don't think he's going to tie the second longest field goal in NFL history. Although our boy Justin Tucker, you know, he might be able to beat his own record. So I guess I'll just end it with this. Broncos country, we're not riding.
We're not riding.
Well, obviously there's still a long season left ahead of us, but I am going to buy into this one. I think that the Bills have proven over the years that they belong to be in this conversation. You know, Josh Allen is clearly a danger to any defense that he faces. And the Los Angeles Rams, defending championship, they lost by a landslide week 1. The Bills looked like they absolutely owned the game. And, you know, I think that adding Von Miller to their defense definitely improves the team, for lack of a better word. Bills Mafia has waited long enough for this. You know, they've never won a Super Bowl in their franchise's history, and I think this could be the year. My top 4 is similar to Manny's. I have the NFL team known as the Georgia Bulldogs as number 1. Number 2, I have Ohio State. You know, I think C.J. Stroud's a real good talent still. I think that this Ohio State team poses a really big threat in the Big Ten, and I think that their future is really, really bright. At 3, I have Alabama. You know, being in the SEC, having to play in these big games, large crowds, loud crowds, it clearly seemed to shake up Alabama's team last week at Texas, and I think that's going to be a fault for them moving forward. At 4, I have Michigan. You know, I think that this Ohio State-Michigan rivalry is going to be brought even more to light this year. I think that Michigan has a lot of depth at the quarterback position. I think that they are a talented squad all around, so I have Michigan at 4.